That time of week again, folks. Mornings with Martin, right here on this beautiful lake on Scott Martin's, I don't know what you call this.
Hey, it's Scott Martin and Shirley Millwood. Don't
This is M&M Paradise.
It's
M&M Paradise.
It's M&M
I'm looking for the right words here.
That's the name of it, M&M Paradise.
We're here brought to you by Ohatchee Discount Foods. Coach Martin last night beat the #1 team in the state, a familiar foe of yours. We're talking region game. It don't get any bigger than last night. Just take us back, your thoughts in general from last night.
Well, I probably still hadn't come down off that high. But you know what? I was so proud of our kids' resiliency, in the second half because, like any big game, as you go through it and you've given it your all for 48 minutes, you're going to be tired. You've got to be able to reach down and get something extra that maybe not everybody has. And, those two teams that played last night were two of the finest teams in the state, and both teams fought to the bitter end. They had no quit in them. We had no quit in us. And, it just came down to a play here or there. And, it could have easily gone the other way, but I was proud of the way our kids fought it out and were able to seal it up with the defensive interception.
Coach, when you started your coaching career, is this not the type night?
A long time ago.
Is this not the type nights that you envision, though? Going on the road, playing #1?
It's the most. It is the kind of thing that you envision as a coach. People ask you all the time, about your games. What kind of games do you like? And as a competitive person, it's like I said after the Welborn game. I hated to lose that game in overtime, but those are the games that get your blood going, as a coach, because, there's a lot of work that goes into that, and it comes down to a play here or there. And last night, to be able to go into a place that's very, very difficult to win at, playing the #1 team in the state, and to be able to find a way to win the game. And, it wasn't all pretty on our side, but it wasn't all pretty on their side. And that happens because I believe you had two of the best defenses in the state going at it last night. And there was a lot of talent on that football field. And, to be able to scratch out a win, I really can't describe how that feels because it's really unbelievable.
Last night after the game, you commented that Ohatchee, looking back at when you got here, 11 straight losing seasons, and to look at where you are now, and you were so happy, and you even commented that you're happy for the players and the community. Talk about that.
Well, I am. When I got here 7 years ago, it was 11 straight losing seasons, and then we contributed a couple more of those. We went 1-9 the first year, and then made a little transformation and went 4-6, and you could see the wheels start turning in the opposite direction. But one of the things that I've got to give a ton of credit to is being able to keep the nucleus of our offensive and defensive staffs together these 7 years, because we've got a bunch of great football coaches, and it makes a big difference. And when you have the same guys over and over and over, a good example in college is Clemson. Those guys haven't really left and gone anywhere. Venables and those guys could go somewhere else, just like Blake and our staff. There's a lot of guys on our staff that could go coach somewhere else, but they are just passionately, coaching at Ohatchee and love what they do. And to be honest with you, I can't tell you how happy I am that I have those guys, because I'm going to tell you what, one guy can't do it all, and it's not a one-man show. I know that, the head coach probably gets too much credit when they win, and he doesn't get enough credit, or gets all the credit when they lose, and probably too much credit when they win. But to be honest with you, our coaches on our staff do a fantastic job, and they did a great job planning this game out, and the game went a lot according to script. And so, I'm just happy for them. The players, we came in after the COVID started, when we got back in June and started in working out, and, we tried to keep it as normal as possible, and we did that. Went into the preseason, and, nobody knew what to expect. Every year you lose great players, and everybody says, oh, this is their down year. Here it comes. But, kids don't see it that way. They see it their senior year as, hey, this is our chance. And there's a lot to live up to, because, just as some of the top teams in the state and in our class, we haven't lost a lot of games either. I think in the last, 6 years or 5 years, whatever, we've lost 8 games, but 4 of those have been playoff games. And so, those guys have really put a lot of sweat into this. And then let's just face it, after that, I got a great administration that allows me to helps us do what we need to do to be successful. And then, let's top it off. I've got a crazy community, man. The Indian Nation is, they get out there and they cheer on the Big Red Machine every week. But I will tell you, there's some. Now you talk about passion,
buddy.
Those guys and gals have some passion, and it's unparalleled. And I've coached at a lot of places, and absolutely the most football crazy community that I've ever been around. So, but I'm glad they're on our side.
Man,
I can tell you this.
I get after it.
I was on the sidelines, and I could have faced away from the field and looked just at the fence guys and told you what was going on in the game.
Oh, man.
And believe it or not, there was a penalty on every play.
Yeah.
According to them.
That's right. Hey, look, I'll tell you what. You know how it is. When you're not winning, the officials are terrible.
Oh,
okay?
yeah.
And then if you do win, then, hey, the officiating was great.
Yeah.
So, we put a lot of pressure on those guys in the black and white shirts. But I'm going to tell you what, if our fence crew could throw the flags, we'd be in some business.
Ain't no doubt about that. Coach, going into the game last night, you knew it was going to be a hostile environment. You also knew, with the mystique and all. Talk about your role as a coach to get your guys mentally ready to go. Like, hey, if we do what we do and take care of us, we're going to be fine.
Right.
You guys, have a laser focus going in last night, blocking out a lot of noise. Because when you go play Piedmont, you got the mystique of the championships and all this. But how did you get your guys so dialed in?
Well, I still think that one of the key things is that we've never let what I consider to be a rivalry, and it's turned out ever since 16, it has become an impassioned rivalry. When we went down to AA and came out of that region, we were fortunate enough that Steve and I got together and decided we were still going to play a jamboree against each other. So, even the years that we weren't in the region with them the last couple of years, we still competed against those guys in a jamboree. So I don't think we ever lost the continuity of it, and it wasn't something that when our guys came into the game, they were like, oh my gosh, we got to go to Piedmont. It was like, okay, here we go. Next man up, let's go. It's Piedmont. What a great opportunity. And that's what I talked about, the last week or so is what a great opportunity to be able to go into a hostile environment, to be able to go play the number one team in the state, to use this as a measuring stick to see where are we at this point in the season, because, this is 6 games in, and hopefully you're going to play at least that many more, and maybe some more. So a lot of it was going to be used as a measuring stick, and I think that our kids relished it. And then we talked about with our kids that everybody else, there's a bunch of people that wish they got to do what we got to do. That's one of the things that as a competitive person and as a competitive young man, not everybody gets to put on the uniform. Not everybody gets to go compete against the best people in the state and show what you're made of. And, win or lose, I would have been proud of my kids anyway. But to be able to come out there and show the fight and resiliency that they have and overcome adversity, because we overcame some there in the early third quarter, to be able to overcome that and then really wrestle the momentum away from Piedmont. But I knew they were going to have their last gasp effort. They're a great football team, and it wasn't just like they were going to fall off the map. I knew we were going to get their best shot, but being able to eat up 6 minutes in that fourth quarter and show and be able to put our defense out on the field just showed what we talked about all week, that, hey, you were going to have to fight it to the very end.
Talking about overcoming adversity, there was a punt, and the fence crew ruled it that the Piedmont player had touched it. But there was also another turnover that happened that was very questionable at best. And, you said, hey, I want to talk to the white hat. But once you had your conversation with him, that was it. It was over.
Right.
And a lot of times, if you let that eat at you, the players pick up on that.
Well, the one thing I try to do, and people that go, because some people probably think I'm sleeping down there, a lot of time I try to stay as even keel as I can through the game. I really do. I try not to let the highs and lows of the emotion get to me. I know last night I caught myself getting excited about what was going on, but you know what? I think that your kids are going to resemble, and they're gonna end up being just like you. So had I let an official's call determine how I was going to act and affect my emotions and not let it go, that our kids would get into that type of setting. And I don't like our kids to do that. I want our kids to play each play. I don't want our kids still lost back in what happened 3 or 4 plays ago. It's my job to manage the game with the officials, and it's not my kids' job, nor is it my assistant's job. I mean, I tell my assistants all the time, let me deal with the guys in the black and white. You know, I try not to disagree with them very often, and you know, I had a questionable thing, and he explained it, and I had to accept it. He wasn't going to change his call, but you know, as fate would have it, the very next play, Aiden makes what is probably one of the greatest plays I've seen in high school football, to be able to tip a ball up and find it in the midair and then catch it and then run. You know, to see that play and to know what type of athletic ability that takes. You know, so that break kind of evened itself out. But you know, both teams had penalties last night. Both teams turned the ball over last night. But again, going back to that part of it, I just thought that was 2 superior defenses on the field, and every yard was going to have to be scratched for.
Real estate was at an all-time high last night.
Talk about what Aiden means to this football team. I know you got several players, but it's something about that guy, man. He reminds me. It's hard to imagine a guy that can affect a game as much as in one defensive position like he does. It's all every week. It's like a big play after big play when you need him.
Well, for such a guy that, you know, is right at 200 pounds, he plays on defense. He plays with just a nonstop motor right there.
Reminds me of Clay Matthews, not just the hair.
Right, and I mean, but you get him and then Wyatt Cole Reeves at linebacker. I mean, those guys are like the quiet assassins, because you can't hardly get them to say a word. You can't get them to hardly say a word. Yet when they get on the football field, those guys play some football, and they're kind of unassuming looking. To be honest with you, I mean, I know they have some size, but if you talk to them, they don't say a whole lot. But boy, when they get on the field, they play big.
They do. Take us back. I want the couple of things I want to talk about late in the game there when you got I believe it was 8 minutes on the clock when you guys got that possession and started your drive.
Right.
And they had 3 timeouts, and you knew, hey, I've got to eat a chunk of this up right now.
Right.
You get down to a 3rd and 26 or 3rd and 24, I believe.
Right.
And you call like a counter with Eli to keep it. Talk about that run.
Yeah, with 6 minutes to go in the game, I'm sorry, we get the ball back with about 8 minutes to go in the game, and you know, we'd like to put together a long drive. We'd like to eat up the rest of the 8 minutes, to be honest with you. And like I said, we have those type of drives. And so as we started on the drive, I think we got a crucial penalty in there that put us behind the chains, which is not usually good for our offense. We also got sacked on that drive, and so we had a 3rd down and 26. And you know, it's one of those things. Nobody has a 3rd and 26 play. I mean, it really don't. And so I decided we're going to put the ball in, you know, one of our best runners' hands. And at this time, Eli just, you know, I think there was a timeout after that, or there was something. I think there was a break, because I was able to talk to him and said, hey, this is what we're going to do, and you know, let's just give it everything. And Eli just made really just an Eli run. I mean, I don't know what else you call it. I mean, not only was it blocked well, but then he made 4, 5, 6, 7 people that looked like he was tackled, and he got off those tackles and kept running. He ends up making a spectacular run, which gets it down to 4th and 2. But it ignited the crowd again in the moment. You know, I mean, it was just one of those things. You felt like, hey, there's no way we can't get this 4th and 2. So we end up converting the first down. But when we convert the first down, now that we've moved it down to under 3 minutes, or right at 3 minutes in the game, and so they've got to start burning their timeouts to be able to have enough time. And we end up down with a 4th and 2, but more importantly, every play they had to burn a timeout. So we were able to get them to expend their timeouts. On 4th and 2, we didn't make the first, and he got them the ball back with 2:12. So, you know, we had essentially taken 6 minutes off the clock.
And 3 timeouts.
And 3 timeouts, and left them, hey, they've got to go no huddle. They've got to go down the field with no timeouts. They've got to drive the ball, 70 yards, 75 yards, whatever it was. And we put our defense back, and they had played great all night. And, you know, it was kind of fitting that they were the ones that went out there and sealed the game.
On that last drive, Eli came out and there was the defense group was pretty upset because they didn't have a good view of it, but I knew that Eli was down.
Right.
And they were yelling, "Why is the clock stopped?" And I said, guys, it's Eli. And but he come out, he was cramping.
He was cramping.
He came out for one play.
Right.
They stretched him.
Yeah.
And then he ends up making the interception.
He makes the interception. That's something, isn't it? He there was, you know, probably the thing that upset me more about that was not that he got cramps and not that he had to come out, but it essentially gave them a fourth time out because they were able to bring their kids at least not to the sideline, but close enough that they could talk to their kids. And you know, that's always a scary thing because it's kind of like, okay, here we go. We've got them on the run. We tackled them in bounds. And so that's not – so now the clock's going to run, and all of a sudden the clock stops for an injury. Now you're going, oh, here we go. So – and they get to bring their kids close enough that they're able to basically get a fourth timeout. So for then to come out, and then Eli was able to come back in the next play and then made a great job, you know, on the deflected pass to be able to pick the interception. And, of course, as soon as he picks it off, I'm running parallel to him going, get down, because I was like, get on the ground because it didn't matter after that.
Right. If I could have, I would have tackled him.
You see Josh come out of the stands.
Because, but on the flip side of that, I have seen it where a guy tackled his own teammate and he fumbled.
Yeah. Well, I'd like to see you tackling because I don't think you put a hand on.
Like I said, if I could, I would have. But I was screaming, "Get down, get down!"
Coach, before we shut it down, what else would you like to say, like moving forward? I know I heard your speech in the locker room last night, and you talked about let's enjoy this one tonight. Yeah. But it's just one game. I mean, you know.
Well, I mean, let's be realistic about all of it. I mean, our region is so strong on the upper end of it, and there's a good chance you're going to see these teams again. And so we're going to enjoy it. I mean, it was a win, so we're going to enjoy it, and we're still got a lot to learn from it. Just as I'm sure they're over there today learning from it on the other end, just like I had to do after the Welborn game. But anybody in the upper end of this region can beat anybody, and then, you know, the North, I think, is pretty stacked. And so there's a chance you could see two or three teams, or at least two of these teams again in the playoffs. So, you know, we could very well be back in the same situation, you know, later in the run in the playoffs. But we've got to continue to get better. I mean, you know, obviously, probably to a shock of our fans, we threw the ball some last night. And, you know, and Eli made some great passes and some pinpoint stuff, and you know, I was pleased with that because I thought that to be able to move the ball against those guys, we were going to have to throw it more because I couldn't allow them just to stack all 11 guys in there the whole night and really outnumber us. And you know, look, they've played us enough to know that they've got to get people to the point of attack to be able to stop what we do, but we got to be smart enough to be able to also counter game plan that to do something else, and we were able to do that last night. But again, it's a chess match. I mean, you're going to end up later down the line. You got Piedmont's got to play Welborn, which is going to it's going to be as big a game as what ours was last night. And then ultimately, you know, 3 or 4 teams in our region could all end up, you know, back playing each other again. And so we've got a long road ahead of us, but we're going to enjoy tonight or enjoy last night, and I'm going to enjoy it all this weekend. But then tomorrow we're going to turn back around. We're going to watch film. We're going to be critical. We're going to praise them, but we're also going to be critical about things we didn't do well because there was plenty enough that we can go over. Because defensively we weren't perfect, and offensively we weren't perfect. But, you know, then we've got to get ready for the next opponent. And, you know, the one thing that I try to do, and our kids will tell you, we didn't put a lot of emphasis. When we're practicing, sure, they know we're playing Piedmont, and sure, they know we're getting ready for what Piedmont does or what we think they're going to do. But so many times it's against a faceless opponent. You know, we're working for us to get better. You know, I'm going to watch us as much as I'm going to watch our opponent we're getting ready to play, if not more, because we've got to get better. And so we're going to really try to improve this week. We're going to get ready, and then after that we've got 3 more region games left. So we can't slip up on any of that. And one thing I don't accept is if you're better than your region opponent is going out there and stinking up the joint and playing down to the level that those guys are at. I want us to come out and play as hard as we can play every game, because as I tell them every week, it's the only game you're playing this week. So why are you looking forward, or why are you looking backward, or why are you wasting time? You've spent 4 days prepping for the team we're going to play. Well, give me your best effort. And so, that's what we're going to start doing starting tomorrow.
Coach, we appreciate you so much. It's always fun to come out here in this beautiful setting, and we're looking forward to seeing you guys moving down the road.
I appreciate it, and we appreciate Ohatchee Discount Foods, because they've stepped out and supporting the show. And I can't wait till a little bit later when you really get to feel what lake life is when it's really cold in this water.
Oh, I can't either. This is going to be glorious. Coach, thank you so much.
I appreciate it.